On this episode of the Contagious Influencers of America podcast, America fell in love with their Christian values, Louisiana living, and those crazy beards. I'm talking about the Robertson family of Duck Dynasty fame.
We've got a movie coming out. It's called The Blind, and we just hope you come see it. It's such an important film. It's a film of hope and redemption and love and forgiveness and God's grace and a film about family. You know, our family motto is faith, family, ducks, in that order.
We're going to have some fun today. I'm David Sams, and this is CIA, Contagious Influencers of America. And today I've got two very special ladies with me. First of all, I have the matriarch of the Duck Dynasty TV show of the Robertson family. I'm talking about Miss Kay. And she brought along her daughter-in-law, Korie Robertson, and put the two of them together. And just wait. You are in store for a real treat, my friends. On September the 28th, the family has a little special treat for us. And it's going to be in theaters all across America. It's called The Blind. It's a movie about the Robertsons' early life. And now I'm not talking about when they hit it big, when they came a multi-billion-dollar or million-dollar, maybe billion, operation with Duck Dynasty. Remember when Duck Dynasty would play on those cable channels about 30 times a day? I think they played more times than there are hours in a day. Those episodes were all over the place. But they became iconic. But before all of this, Phil, I'm talking about Phil Robertson, the dad, he was a real scoundrel. I mean, this guy was, he was a cheater, a liar, he was an alcoholic. And then something happened. And they're going to talk about what that was that brought him around. But Miss Kay stuck with him. She stuck with him. She's going to talk about that. So, boy, this is one of those things that you're just going to enjoy listening to it. And I know I loved talking with him. So we're going to have Miss Kay here and Korie Robertson in just a second. But first, let's put this clip on, okay? Let's put this clip on. Take a look at that, and then I'll be back with Miss Kay and Korie.
This is the Duck Commander, Phil Robertson. Get your Bible out, Revelation chapter 12, verse 11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Well, they made a movie about my testimony called The Blind. It's in theaters starting September the 28th. If you or someone you know thinks they're beyond redemption, go see my story. Get your tickets today at theblindmovie.com.
This film is rated PG-13 and may be inappropriate for children under 13.
Ladies, welcome. How are you?
Good. Great. Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you. We are so excited about your film and about, I guess now we're going to get the inside story, the real scoop as to what really happened. Prior to your fame. And by the way, I have to tell you, I really miss watching Duck Dynasty 18 times a day on cable.
Hey, you can still find it. You can still find it. There are Duck Dynasty channels now, apparently.
Well, I hope you're getting royalties. So let me ask you, Kay. I want to go deep here because we're so excited about The Blind and your story, yours and Phil's story, and the family story. First of all, take me back to that time when you first met Phil.
Well, I think it was, for me, it was kind of like love at first sight. I saw him and I liked what I saw, but there were many things about him that I found out I liked besides his looks, which he was an athlete, a quarterback for the football team, but also he loved to hunt and fish, and my daddy did that. And I always loved that in my dad. And I would get to go out and help him. I would hold the squirrels when he cleaned them, or the different birds and all the things. I wasn't very good at the deer cleaning. But as a little girl, I loved all that. And so it just seemed so right to have a boy then, as somebody I would like, not just for his looks, but I like the things he did.
And how old were you then when the two of you met?
14 years old.
14 years old. Oh my goodness, that's great. By the way, my parents met in the 4th grade. They're still together today. They're what 80?
Oh my goodness.
What 86 or something? I better be careful. I might be off a year, but
I actually saw Phil playing ball when he was 13. I was 13 and he was 14. I just saw him. In fact, he was playing with his 3 brothers, Tommy and Phil and Si. And they asked me, they said, that's some good looking boys. I said, yeah, I kind of like that middle one, which was Phil. And so
the rest is history, huh?
Right.
Well, Willie and I met at summer camp in 4th grade. So here we are, testimony to, sometimes when you meet the person when young, it all works out.
It really can work. Hey, by the way, I have to correct myself because I'm sure my mother's going to watch this. She's 84, not 86. So
you got to get that right.
I have to go on record. So what is it about is it something in the water that relationships in your family have been able to survive it all? I mean, what's the secret?
Of us all staying together?
Yeah. First of all, of you staying married. Let's go with that.
Everybody has married and they're all together. All my kids and grandkids.
Okay, you need to tell about what your nanny told you, because I think that was a big part of what kept you and Phil together, and in turn has kept our families together.
We were sitting out in the swing like we used to do all the time at her house, and we would talk about life, and we were talking about marriage, and she told me, she said, you'll have to fight for your marriage, which I said, well, why would I have to do that? I'm planning on being happily ever after, And she said, no, it's not like that. She said, you've got to put God first, and you have to fight the devil, because he's going to come in and try to bust your marriage apart. And I just thought, I couldn't believe that, but that's what she told me. And she said, I want you to know when you marry, it's a vow to God, and when you marry, it's for life. And you won't use that D word, which was divorce. And I really got it.
So that was completely out of the question, but you all went through some really strenuous, some difficult times, and that which is portrayed in the film. Tell me about some of those times and what got you to the other side.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I did realize when Phil went to school, he was on a football scholarship, and so we started out together at Louisiana Tech. And what happened was Phil was a good boy. He really was. But when he was with the team, and they had a lot of times when the team would have to stay in the dorms. They wanted them there wasn't very many married football players, so they would make them stay in the dorms so they could just concentrate on football. They didn't want anything to be in their way. So he spent a lot of time up there, and that was not good for him because a lot of those boys were in the wild time, and Phil wasn't doing that and hadn't done that. But it was just so much easier to be encouraged when you live around them every day and you're staying up there 30 days at a time. And that's really when the devil got hold of him. And that's when my hard trouble began. When he was, say, 18. And he did not come to the Lord till he was 28. So I fought the devil for 10 years, but I didn't give up. I never gave up. Everybody else told me to give up and to leave him and everything, and we did have a part at the end where he actually asked me and the kids to leave the house, and he said that we were running his life. And I said, well, the life you're living, I can see how we'd mess it up. But we went away, and of course that was the time when he hit rock bottom, and he found out that life wasn't the life he wanted to live.
So how did you all turn it around? How did he turn it around?
Well, he came to see me at work, and one of the girls saw him coming up, and she said, "Oh, no, there's Phil. He's probably drunk, and he's probably going to come in here and shoot us all." Of course, she was dramatic. And I said, "No, I'll go out there and talk to him. There won't be any trouble in work. I'll go talk to him." So I went to the truck, and when I saw him, he had been crying, and I never saw him cry. And he said, "I can't eat. I can't sleep. I want my family back. I can't live without my family." And that was his words, which my words turned around to be, I was so happy. He was humble and like that. But then my words were, you have to talk to somebody. You can't just say you're not going to drink anymore or be bad. I said, you've got to talk to somebody. Your life's got to change. And so that night, the preacher where I went to church came to our house. And of course, the first thing Phil asked the preacher was, "Have you ever been drunk?" And the preacher said, "I have, Phil, but I'm not drunk anymore." So they hit it off. And then after 2 nights of him studying, Phil said, "Well, I don't trust anybody." And the preacher said, "Well, if I'd been living with who you've been living with and doing what you've been doing, I wouldn't trust anybody either." And he said, "You don't even act like a preacher." And the preacher said, "Well, good." And so that was the beginning and the start of, and then the best part of all was when Phil did decide to come to Jesus. And he had studied with him, but we had to run to the store, and we came back, and there was a note to come to the church. It was Phil wrote it, and it said, "Right now," like that. That's all it said on the door. So me and my 3 little boys got in the Volkswagen and went up there. And when we walked in the back of the church, the preacher was asking Phil if he was, going to make Jesus the Lord of his life. And he said he was. And he baptized him right there. And we were standing in the back of the church, and I looked down, all 3 boys had big tears running down their eyes. And they said, "Does this mean Daddy's going to be nice and not do bad things?" And I said, "He's going to try, but we have to help him." And then one of the boys said, "Mama, if he cusses in church, what do we do?" And I said, "We'll forgive him and hope he can learn to not do that anymore."
Korie, did you have any idea what you were marrying into?
Well, actually, yeah, we met in 5th grade, and so I'll never forget the first time I came down to Phil and Kay's house. I got invited down there by a friend whose dad was friends with Phil, and I walked in. I'm in 5th grade, and I walk up, and Phil sees me and my friend. He says, "Have you met my boys, Willie, Jess, and Jason Silas?" And we're like, "Yes, sir." And he said, "They'll make good husbands someday." Like, we're in 5th grade. So he said, "They're good hunters and fishermen. They're going to be good providers." So apparently Phil had a prophetic vision that I was going to marry his son, because that was the first time I met them. And I'll say this, this was years before they had any money or anything. They live in the same house that they live in now, but they were always so generous, and they'd have these big fish fries and invite everybody down there, and it was just a house of love and grace and fun and fun stories and all that from the moment I met them.
Oh, fantastic. So when you all decided to do this movie, and Korie, you're one of the producers, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here you are producing a movie, and you have to decide, okay, what is it that you're going to put on the screen that's going to be the most compelling story and really connect some dots and really move people. What was the underlying message that you really wanted to emphasize and get across in this film?
Well, I think the bottom line message is a message of hope, that there is nobody that's too far gone for the love of Jesus and the grace of Jesus to cover that. And, you look at somebody like Phil, and this is a true story. We did it as a family. We interviewed Kay and Phil, and they told their story. All the family members had a part in telling their piece of the story, so that we could really tell a story that's true and raw and real and authentic to who we are. And, you look at somebody like Phil and you think, oh, like Kay said, a lot of people said, give up on him. He'll never change. Like that's, he's too far gone. But when you see this message and understand that, no, nobody's too far gone for Jesus and his love. And there's a line in the movie that I love that Phil says, and he says, I had to come to the end of myself to find the beginning of God. And I just think it's so, so powerful because that's really what had to happen. And that's what happens to happen for all of us. We have to come to the end of ourselves to find the beginning of God.
Miss Kay,
Right.
what do you think about that?
That's so true.
Fix the...
Okay, sorry.
No problem.
It's just so true, every bit of it. The thing is, I remember the very time when I really came to Jesus was I was about to give up hope. I was so depressed, and I was in the bathroom, and I was crying. We were in a trailer, so you don't hide anything. Everybody can hear everything from room to room. And the three boys, it was Alan, Jace, and Willie, were outside my door. And Alan knocked on the door and said, Mom, don't cry anymore. He said, God's going to take care of us. He was 9 years old. Mm-hmm. And he said, God's going to take care of us. And he's going to help Dad. He's going to help Daddy. That's what he told me. And, it's just like a light went out to say, for me, it's, yes, this is as hard a times as there is, but I have three little souls out there. And they're just going to be how we lead them. And I couldn't give up on them. I couldn't give up on Phil. I just tried and tried. That's what I knew. And that night it was like a light went off on, I have to be the best I can be for them.
Somebody's watching this right now who they are going through a lot of what you've gone through in the past. And, they don't see the light. They don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They don't feel the hope right now. It took you 10 years with Phil to get to the other side. So maybe somebody's watching this right now who's in year 4 or 5. Can you offer them some encouragement and some of the things that you did day by day, week by week, to have the strength and have the hope to hang in there?
As I can tell you never quit praying for them, never ever. And another thing is talk to your kids in truth about what's happening, but that we have God, and God can help us if we ask Him. And we have to pray for our daddy, which we did every night. We prayed for Phil. But also, we did was, when that time he asked us to leave and all that. Well, we did leave and moved about 20 miles from where he was. And we got in the church where I had become a Christian. And one of the most important things, my boys found out about, we had the pink buses which drove around and picked up people to bring to church, children. And so what happened was, I said, how can my children be involved? Because they need something right now. And so they said, well, they can ride the buses with you, of course, and you can pick up all these children, and they have a chance to win prizes for whoever brings the most children to church. So my boys immediately fell into that and loved it. And every week they got a prize because they brought so many people to church. And I tried my hardest to get involved. I went to ladies' Bible things, and I just tried to do whatever I could do to look to God and to His people to help me. And I let them help me because if I didn't, I would just be on the depressed devil side. So that's why we made it waiting for a field to change.
Okay. Well, Korie, I have to ask you, what was from your perspective, what was the hardest scene in the movie to film? And what was the one scene in the movie that you thought the night before, oh my gosh, I hope we get through this tomorrow?
Well, I think the scene where the Pastor Bill, comes and studies with Phil and, just shares the gospel with him, I think was just, we realized that was such an important moment because that's the turning point. That's when everything changed in the family. That's what led us to be sitting right here today, that just sharing of the gospel. We wanted it to be just true and authentic and real. And yeah, I'll never forget. I was on set that day that we filmed that and seeing it. And actually, so when you're on set, you have your headphones on and you're listening and you can't say anything. And I got so wrapped up in the moment that I actually was like, wow, I said something out loud and everyone looked at me like, oh no, be quiet, but I was so in the moment because it was just such a powerful moment. And I was just, really, really, really excited. I'm excited for how it turned out and for people to see it. I think, a lot of times you can see a Christian film and they can, that moment where the gospel shared can sound a little cheesy or sound a little like, you're reading from a script or whatever, but it feels really real and really raw, and I'm real proud of it. Another scene where Kay described that scene where when she's in the bathroom and just not knowing if she can go on. That's actually my favorite scene in the whole movie. And I wasn't there the day we shot that, but I heard there were people on set, in tears as they watched that scene. But I just think that scene's so powerful because, yeah, there's so many people out there that do reach the end of their rope and feel like, how can I keep going? And Aunt Jan, who's in the movie, and when you see the film, you'll understand her role in all of this. But Aunt Jan comes in and speaks some truth over Kay and over her life in that moment, that she's not alone, and with God you're never alone. And I just think it's a really, really powerful moment, and I'm excited. I think it's gonna be really impactful for people.
You two have still got to be amazed at the legacy of the family, what you've all accomplished over the last couple of decades or so, and the impact that you've had across America. Do you, now that you look back on the last 20 years, 25 years or so, do you first of all, I'm sure you pinch yourselves, but also do you ever ask why God, why us? Why were we chosen?
Oh, I do. I just thank God, and I do. And Phil sometimes will just look at me, and this is really the truth. He'll say, I'm so glad you didn't give up on me, to me. And I said, I'm so glad that God kept me that way. And he held me. And that was the only reason, because the night I was in the bathroom, I really thought about, I wish I could just go to sleep and not wake up. I really had that thought, which I think all people, when they hit their rock bottom, do think something like that. And it's not that you really want to do anything to yourself, but you just want to go to sleep, and when you wake up, everything will be fixed and not be where you are. And I've really felt that, and I know many people in America have been in that spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where
you're just curled in a fetal position and just didn't want to get up. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, we serve a God that is a God of hope. So with him, we are not hopeless, and our stories aren't hopeless. And I think the reason it was important for us to tell this story and tell it in the way that we did, with all the good and the bad and the ugly in there, is because if you look at the Bible and the great heroes of faith, you might think that their life were perfect, but they're not. All through Scripture, we see the people that God chooses are not the people that are perfect, or the people that have weaknesses and have faults and make huge mistakes. And so sometimes, we can look at our own lives and be like, oh, God cannot use me because of the bad that I've done or the bad mistakes. But when you see this film, you know that God can use anybody. He could use Phil and Kay Robertson, this young couple, in Arkansas that owned a bar for a little bit and moved to Louisiana. If he can use them, he can use anybody. And I think that plays out over and over again as you read the Bible and in Scripture. He uses people that no one else would expect for his good and for his purposes.
So Korie, if you don't mind, would you just look at your mother-in-law there a minute, and just?
It's gonna make us cry here.
No, I just like for you to have a little conversation. But Korie, I just like for you to just look at her and tell her what she's done for you, what she means to you in your life, and the difference that she's made.
Miss Kate, I knew you were gonna make us cry for real.
Yeah, he's for real.
Well, I said this earlier today, and I'll say it directly to you. The way that you love Phil and forgave him through the hard times has made such an impact on my life, and it's saved our marriage, because there's been times that have been hard, and that, I think in every marriage there's times that are hard that you want to give up, but seeing you and how you never gave up, you stuck with it, and what the beautiful, beautiful family you've created because of that, and because of the way you offered forgiveness and truly forgave. Didn't just say you forgave him, but truly forgave. And that was just an example to me that has impacted everything.
And I love my daughter-in-laws as my own daughters, since I never had any. He just gave me those 4 boys. And I'm telling you, every one of y'all, I couldn't love anymore. And I will safely say we've never had fusses. We've never had not agreed. We sometimes have different ideas, but we love each other. We never are angry or have any kind of disagreement, wouldn't you say?
We have not. Miss Kay's been just beautiful example of a faithful, godly woman, and you kept our family together and made it what it is today. And whenever we sat down and watched the film, we actually watched the film together as a whole family, and to see generation after generation sitting there together, and to watch a story that is, if this story had not happened, we would not be who we are today. We would not be here.
And there was not a dry eye.
Not a dry eye in the room.
In the house.
And Sadie was there with her baby, her newborn baby. So your great-granddaughter was there watching this story unfold on the screen. And it was just a powerful reminder of legacy, and that the choices that we make, and whenever we turn to God, how it can change everything.
And look at me listening to my grandmother all those years ago telling me this. And I didn't know. I mean, there was other things she told me I didn't do so well on. But on that one, I really got it as a girl. As a 14, as a 13, I was with her all my life. She was an important part of my life. And she got married at 15, only went to school till she was 13. But look what she shared, how wonderful that was.
That's beautiful. Well, I understand Phil is, I want to say on his back, but he broke his back, right? Is that what?
That's right.
It sounds, yeah. What happened?
He was trying to pick up something, him and his worker, that weighed 350 pounds. I think he'll never try that again. And now he has his back fixed with cement. So he has cement in his back.
Oh, my goodness.
Phil is still working on the land, getting ready for hunting season, all that. I don't think he'll ever give that up.
He don't realize he's in his 70s. No. He thinks he's still young.
Well, please give him our best, and also Korie, give Willie our best if you would, please. That would be wonderful.
I sure will.
And we really appreciate the time that you've shared with us and the stories, and we wish you so much success with this film.
Thank you.
And just keep the faith, keep on plugging away, keep bringing us these great stories and this great entertainment. We need wonderful families like you to step up and step out. And you're such great storytellers. I hope that this is the first of many projects that your company that you put together does.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the plan.
And you know what? We released the movie on September the 28th, and we want everybody to go, and we give God the glory.
Amen to that. Amen
That's
to that.
right.
Well, thank
That's
you.
right.
Thank you all very much. And
should we tell everybody kind of where to go find it, or are you going to do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do that. Absolutely. We know it's a Fathom event when it starts. Hey, by the way, I hope Now, by the way, I don't want to speak anything weird about the strike and everything, but the way things are going, they may put your movie may be there for 6 months if they don't have anything to put on the screen.
Well, if that good can come out of it, then yeah.
Thank you, Miss Kay. Thank you, Korie. And thank you all for checking out this podcast, this episode. Boy, The Blind comes to theaters on September the 28th. And I just got to encourage you to get your tickets now because it is a limited run. Tickets will sell out. The theaters I understand ticket sales are strong already. I mean, who doesn't want to know the inside scoop on the Robertson Dynasty? The early years. So this is going to be fun, and I highly, highly encourage you to go see it. Please do tell all your friends because, we want to make these things successful. These are important movies. We've had some great movies this year. We had Jesus Revolution that we got behind, and of course, Sound of Freedom was big. And we've got Journey to Bethlehem coming up later this year. And we've got so many wonderful things in the pipeline. But first, go see The Blind with the Robertson family on September the 28th. And wherever you listen to your podcast, you got to do something for me. You've got to rate and review us. Please give us 5 stars. That would just be absolutely amazing. And check out our website at ContagiousInfluencers.com, where you're going to find all kinds of episodes. And our radio show website is KeepTheFaith.com, where you're going to find all kinds of goodies there too, okay? And this week, do me a favor. Go out there and live that life in living color, because it sure is a heck of a lot more interesting than living in black and white. I'll see you next time.